Welcome to The Explainer. So, you're buying a home, and you've probably heard some horror stories about the closing, right? That final, kind of confusing hurdle that's just packed with paperwork and steps nobody ever tells you about. Well, today, we're going to demystify it, once and for all. We're turning that whole complex process into a simple, clear roadmap that you can actually follow.
Think of this as your pre-flight checklist for becoming a homeowner. We're going to start from the second your offer gets accepted, walk through all the critical checks and paperwork, and take you all the way to that finish line. You know, the one where you're holding a brand new set of keys.
You get that amazing phone call. They accepted your offer. It's this fantastic celebratory moment. But you know what? It's also the starting gun for the entire closing process. And the very first thing you've got to do is open something called escrow.
Okay, so this first phase is all about making the deal official. It really boils down to two immediate things that tell the seller, hey, I'm serious about this. Opening that escrow account and putting down your earnest money. So what or who is an escrow agent? Honestly, the best way to think about them is as the official referee of the deal. They don't work for you, and they don't work for the seller. They are a totally neutral third party. Their entire job is to hold on to all the money and the important documents until every single condition in that sales contract has been met.
And this is how you show you're serious. Earnest money is your skin in the game. It's a deposit that shows the seller you are fully committed to buying their property. And don't worry, it's not some extra fee. It's a good faith deposit that gets applied towards your down payment or your closing costs later on.
So how much are we talking about here? Well, a pretty standard range for earnest money is somewhere between 1% and 3% of the home's total sales price. So just to put that into perspective, for a $200,000 house, you'd be looking at putting down somewhere between $2,000 and $6,000.
Okay, with the deal officially kicked off, your focus completely shifts. Now it's all about investigation. This is what we call the due diligence phase, or as I like to call it, the look before you leap phase. It's your chance to do all your homework and find any potential surprises before that house is officially yours.
To protect you, the title company basically becomes a detective. They start digging deep into the property's public records and they're hunting for any hidden issues, things like an unpaid contractor's lien or old property taxes from a previous owner, and all their findings are presented in a document called a title commitment, which is kind of like a report card on the home's legal history.
Now, this whole process leads to two different kinds of insurance policies. You've got the lender's policy, which, heads up, you're required to buy because it protects the bank. But then there's the owner's policy. That one is for you. And here's why it's so important. It's your financial shield. It makes sure that some mistake someone else made years ago doesn't pop up and threaten your ownership of your new home.
Next up is the home inspection. You can think of this as a complete physical checkup for the house. A professional inspector is going to come in and look at everything from the foundation all the way up to the roof. Their final report is probably the most powerful negotiating tool you have. It gives you this detailed list you can use to ask for repairs, maybe a price reduction, or if things are really bad, even to walk away from the deal entirely.
Now, your lender, they're only going to loan you what the home is actually worth, and they figure that out with something called an appraisal. But what happens if the appraiser comes back and says the house is worth less than what you offered to pay? Well, that creates a gap. The good news is you've got options. You can renegotiate with the seller, you can bring more cash to the table yourself, or if you have to, you can walk away.
And now we enter the paper trail. Look, this can feel like the most intimidating part of the whole process, but here's the thing. A very important federal law was passed specifically to protect you from getting lost in all the fine print.
And that law is called RESPA. Its entire purpose is to protect you, the consumer. It forces lenders to give you clear, easy-to-understand information about your closing costs, and it makes illegal any shady practices like kickbacks or hidden fees. It's all about making the process transparent for you.
RESPA is the reason you get these two incredibly important documents. First, right after you apply for your loan, you get something called a loan estimate. Then, a few days before you close, you get the final version, called the closing disclosure. So here is the crucial point. You have to save that first document, the loan estimate, and compare it line by line with the final closing disclosure. This is your chance to catch any surprise fees or changes.
We're in the home stretch now. The last few days are really just about ticking off the final boxes on the to-do list. So let's take a look at what that final checklist looks like for both you and the seller.
You know, this really isn't a one-sided thing. In these final days, both you and the seller have some important homework to do. Your job is all about preparing for ownership, getting insurance, setting up utilities, getting your funds ready. The seller's job is all about preparing for the handover, gathering warranties, cleaning the place up, and getting those keys ready for you.
Okay, listen up, because this is probably one of the most important warnings for buyers in this whole process. Your lender is going to check your credit one last time right before closing. If you go out and make a huge purchase, open a new credit card, or even change jobs, it could completely change your financial picture and actually put your entire loan in jeopardy. So just wait.
This usually happens a day or two before closing. The final walkthrough is exactly what it sounds like. It's your last chance to go through the property and make sure everything is as it should be. You're checking that any agreed-upon repairs were actually done and that no new problems have popped up since you last saw it.
You've made it. All the checklists are done, the money is ready, the paperwork is waiting. This is it. This is the final step in your journey from home shopper to bona fide homeowner.
You know, for all the buildup, closing day itself is usually pretty quick. You'll sit down with the settlement agent, sign what feels like a small mountain of documents, and hand over the certified check for your down payment and closing costs. And once all of that is done, the best part happens. You get the keys to your new home.
And that's really it. The very last step is that the county officially records the new deed. The moment that happens, you've done it. The property isn't just in your hands, it's legally in your name. Congratulations, you are officially a homeowner.
So you've crossed the finish line. You've got the keys in your hand. But here's a final thought. Is your work really done? You see, while this complicated closing process is officially over, this finish line is really just the starting line for a whole new adventure. The real journey of homeownership with all of its rewards and responsibilities is just beginning.